Want him to be indicted. I can't believe we have 6 eyewitnesses and there's not a trial. That's every lawyer's dream to have this much evidence. And the idea that it's taking that long for them to decide whether or not to convict is wrong.
Rest assured, there are many attorneys who would not want to be at the lead in any Ferguson shooting case, because no matter what happens when the grand jury issues its findings, someone will ensure the world knows justice was not done. So then we have a simple question to ask. What in this case is justice? Let's welcome to MidPoint. He's a criminal defense attorney with more than 20 years' experience dealing with felonies, federal matters, drug dealings, and a whole lot more. His firm has handled cases working with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DEA, and Homeland Security. Geoffrey Nathan joins us today. Geoffrey, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Geoffrey, when you hear someone like that soundbite from a young lady who was protesting in the Ferguson area, saying it's so easy to figure this one out. 6 eyewitnesses are there, and there have been a number of people who have been saying, why would you need a grand jury? And again, those say that, oh, well, it must be fixed if you have to bring a grand jury in here when you obviously know what's happened. Doesn't that again speak to the fact that no one really knows, and justice is not that easily decided when you don't have all the facts?
Well, the job of the grand jury is to parcel out those facts and then render a decision. In this instance, it's actually a petite grand jury because it's comprised of less than 30 members of the community. Remember, this is almost a jury trial in secret, and so at least what we know to date is that the prosecution is trying to bring to bear all of the facts so that a fair and impartial decision is made by those members sitting on the grand jury.
Answer that question, though, that I've heard at least 3 times this weekend on a number of different talk shows where people are saying there was no need for a grand jury. These are people such as the Reverend Al Sharpton and others who will claim that he should have been arrested, thrown in jail right away, and needs to be set to trial immediately. Can you make some sense of all this as to why the system is the way it is?
Sure. Well, you can't have a rush to judgment, and a rush to judgment can lead to a fatal mistake. So for Sharpton to go out and just make inflammatory statements like that is just childish, especially where he's so knowledgeable. I was actually ashamed when I read that he made those statements because let's face the music here. The cop in this case deserves to have a fair and impartial hearing as to whether or not there is probable cause to believe that the cop committed a crime in this particular instance. And the only way to do that in our American justice system is to have a protected panel, meaning a panel meeting in secret, who hears evidence, albeit only from law enforcement, but in this instance they are bringing out other evidence, meaning that the defense has been allowed to put its statement to the grand jury as well, and that's very unusual. So I just think to say that you need to rush to have this case tried immediately is not beneficial to the interests of Ferguson, Missouri, frankly.
I think you were certainly bringing to the point that Mr. Sharpton certainly has a tremendous amount of legal expertise in his background as well. And I immediately get your opinion right there. About the 90 seconds we have left here. This is a protected panel, as you stated, but this is not a sequestered jury, correct? They are still out in the general public when they are not meeting. So what's the fear then that they become influenced, if you will, by everything that's happening around them? That's a tough job.
I wouldn't want to do it, but in this particular circumstance, I wouldn't want to be sitting as a grand juror. But no, you can't sequester a grand jury because this isn't a trial. So in the grand jury process, they fill out forms in which they swear that they will impartially deliberate and make a decision as to whether or not they feel there's probable cause that a crime was committed. So I have great confidence in our American judicial system. I think that people have to understand that our American judicial system has taken the worst terrorists to trial in criminal courts and convicted them. We don't need Guantanamo Bay type secret trials. We need to have a public forum. Ferguson, Missouri is going to get a very public trial so that all of the evidence comes out and a jury can decide whether or not a crime was committed. Was it murder? Was it negligent homicide? And they'll go through all of the various aspects of this felony. Frankly, we don't know even whether or not the grand jury is going to vote to prosecute this cop.
I only have about 10 seconds left. As the individual said as we started this segment, would you want to become the cop's defense lawyer?
Well, I would take this case because I think that anytime you have a circumstance of this nature, it's eminently defensible, and for that reason, I would take this case, yes.
I think there will be some there, all right. Geoffrey Nathan, I thank you so much for taking the time to join us, give us your expertise. Very happy holiday to you and your family.
Thank you.
All right, on the other side of Ferguson, and one that will be closely scrutinized for many months to come, we turn to law enforcement next.